Hello, it's Jason Heath, Contrabass Conversations, with another solo show, quasi-solo show. This isn't totally a solo show. I'm going to be talking about an event that I went to in late June this summer, the first bass event for me since the pandemic began, the Roboth Institute Los Angeles 2021 Celito de Jesus' wonderful event that she holds in the LA area. It was in Long Beach this year. I was there in 2019. Jean-Philippe Verret from the L'Orchestre de Contrebasse, the wonderful French ensemble. I'm sure you've checked them out before. Kate Jones, Patrick Nair, Johnny Hamill. It was so much fun, and it was so great to be back in person. I am in my condo in San Francisco. If I turn around right there, there's my bass. Oh, actually, here, I'm going to practice, so it's right there. And I have not played this instrument outside of this place since the pandemic hit. Now I have played, thankfully, on a borrowed bass, and it was just so nice to be back and playing bass quartets. I went from playing to rehearsing bass quartets with David Young, Ted Botsford, and Celito in like 40 minutes. And it was just, that was such a great experience. I also had, we've all had all sorts of experiences the last year and a half. This is not a mighty one for sure, but I had just been getting into creating kind of like documentary footage for the bass events I was at. I did that to a certain extent at the Pittsburgh Double Bass Symposium. That was the very beginning of March 2020. So it was the last bass event I was at. And I've been thinking about what am I going to do when I'm back on the road. So this is my first chance to bring my camera gear and to try my hand at putting together some footage. And I then went and did that at Wah Bass in Indiana, which I'm going to talk about on the next episode and play some footage from there. So this is my first attempt, but I am hopefully going to be doing much more of this. And I sat down with Celito in her backyard. We had a great hang after the event. It was so cool to see Ted Botsford teach, see David Young teach, work with Celito's students, just so much fun. And then Celito and her husband and I had this great Long Beach exploration day. It was super fun. And I'd been thinking what I really need to make this fly is to do an interview with Celito for YouTube just about the Institute. And actually, before I roll this, let me thank the sponsors. I usually have these pre-recorded, so I have to remember to do this on the fly. But I'm so thrilled to have Upton Bass back on board and supporting the podcast. Thank you so much, Upton. They've been such great supporters over the years. They do great work, have a fabulous bass showroom. You have undoubtedly heard of them. And if you are anywhere on the Eastern Seaboard and get a chance to go to Mystic, Connecticut, which is a charming town, by the way, very cool setting, give them a visit. They're awesome. UptonBass.com. Thank you to Dorico, Steinberg's advanced music notation software. I love this piece of software. It makes me arrange and compose and create exercises in such an intuitive way. It feels so modern, so streamlined. I am a big fan. Dorico, thank you for being on board. And thank you to Ear Trumpet Labs, who make the rockin' Nadine microphone. It's on my bass right now. I'm recording all my YouTube videos with it, and it sounds fantastic. Christian McBride, many others love this mic, and so do I. So thank you to Ear Trumpet Labs and their awesome Nadine mic. So we're going to play a bit more of this conversation with Celito, just about her inspiration behind the camp, and yeah, so here we go. Tell me about the origins of the camp. When did the idea come to you?
Right, so in 2017, Johnny Hamill has encouraged me to start a bass camp in LA, and I was thinking that I wanted a bass camp that focuses on Roboth technique. And since Francois has made such a huge impact in my life, I wanted to share my knowledge with all my students and anyone that comes to the bass camp.
And that first year was Roboth was there. I was watching some video from that, or some photos or whatever from that, and it looked like a totally incredible event. Yes. It was right after the ISB, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, Francois, that was the last leg of his U.S. tour, was LA. And it was just a great experience to be able to start a bass workshop with Francois present, and for the students to really witness how he teaches and how he plays, and just the generosity of his spirit when he's teaching everyone. It doesn't matter if you're the best player or the worst player. He teaches everyone. He treats everyone the same, and he is so loving and nurturing in the way he teaches.
And you got the idea to do the camp from Johnny Hamill, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and do you remember, because it's a big deal to put together something like this, and I know
Right.
Johnny's notorious for inspiring people to start base camps in a good way. So yeah, when did you get the idea from Johnny?
Yes, well, for a while I was just laying low in LA and I wasn't really doing anything outside of Los Angeles. Then one year he invited me to come out to Kansas City, and I saw what he was doing over there, and I saw how much inspiration it imparted in all the students and the teachers also. And he really encouraged me. I felt like he put me outside of my comfort zone, but I also felt that started a fire in me that, yes, I think we can do something like this in LA. Why not? Right? So,
And then 2018, you did it again.
yes.
And who was there for that one?
We had John Clinton came, and David Allen Moore, and Ted, and Nina, and Patrick. So they were amazing. Just to continue the tradition of teaching robotic technique to students of all levels, not just college level, but for anyone who wanted to come and learn. I wanted a bass workshop that is accessible to any bass player who want to learn. So they sign up and I just make it happen.
And you got everybody from 6th grade through senior year, and you have some adults that have
Yes.
come. Like this year we had a couple.
Yes, even from the beginning, we've had students from age 11 to 75 come, from elementary school students to high school students, college students, amateur players, and retired bass players. Just they're curious about the robot technique, and so I wanted a place where they can come and learn robot technique, because I know not everyone has the means to go over to Paris and study with Francois. So I wanted to create a bass school where they can come and learn from teachers that, like me, teachers like me who have been impacted greatly by Francois' teaching.
It takes a lot of work to put a base camp together.
Yes.
What does it look like behind the scenes doing something like this? Just talk through like how do you make something like this happen? Just in terms of getting the students and getting the word out and that kind of thing.
Yes, well, I feel like the core foundation is really the students. So I asked all my students, how many of you would be interested in a bass workshop? And when I had at least a dozen students say yes, that gave me enough affirmation to start something. And fortunately, I have some support of our local music schools who have agreed to allow us to rent the space for the workshop. But really, the main reason I'm able to do this is because of the students and their desire to play bass and to learn more about the bass.
Isn't she great? It's so cool that she puts this on. It is a heck of a lot of work. I don't know if you've ever organized an event like this. I've been on the sidelines in more recent years with some events here in San Francisco. I used to organize my own event back in the early 2000s up in Wisconsin, but it makes such an impact on people. So Silito's awesome. I had a blast. You can look up Roboth Institute LA is the website.com. to learn more about this, if you want to visit California in June and play some bass, this is a good way to do it. And she's gotten folks from out of town coming in as participants ever since it started, I think. So very, very cool. Thank you for listening to this mini episode. And as I continue to do more of this kind of thing, I'll continue to play around with the podcast as a place for the cutting room floor. Maybe that might sound bad, but I think that might be a good way to look at it. I get a lot of footage, and I have a lot of footage from this event and a lot of footage from Wabase, which I'm going to be putting out an episode about next week. And I don't want all of it does not work as a YouTube video, certainly. But some of it, especially as I do more of these interviews, and I did many at Wabase, and I realized after I did them, I have an idea how I would do them the next time, and to get even more dynamic content and profile these young artists and that kind of thing. So we'll see where this goes. I am definitely looking forward to not being at home as much. I like being at home, but not as much. And to going to bass events like this wonderful Rabath Institute and talking to Celito and the other people involved in this. And I can't help but think of the great times I had visiting Australia and the Melbourne Bass Day, and then doing interviews in Sydney and Melbourne, doing similar projects in New York City, and just looking ahead to more of this to come. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to these. So this isn't really a solo show, I guess, but not the standard format. So I appreciate it. If you want to reach out, feedback@contrabassconversations.com will put you in touch with me. We have a whole bunch of more traditional interview shows coming up in the future. I hope you're enjoying your summer, and we will see you again soon for more life on the low end of the spectrum.